Can we all look at this small picture? He was a great man when he was alive. But most people doesn't know him. Yes, most people doesn't know him. I'm going to tell you his name. He was the richest man in the world during his time. He was known across the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and even America. As I've said, he was the richest man in the world then. He was a Greek man and he was into shipping of oil. As I've said, his name rings bell. His name is Aristotle Onassis. When you go to Greece today, I'm sure you will not mention his name twice before they begin to tell you who this man was. He was great. He was great. How he became shipping magnate. How this man became the richest man in the world. Aristotle Onassis was one of the most famous Greeks in the entire world in the 20th century. A visionary who became one of the greatest shipping magnates in modern history. His wealth was acquired in a variety of ways, but it was the Suez Canal deal that made him the richest man in the world. Onassis and his family flew their home in September 1922 when he was only 16 years old and settled in Greece in the wake of the catastrophe of Sima. A year later, he left Athens, choosing to take up residence in Buenos Aires, that is in Argentina. After enduring all kinds of trials and being forced to live in poverty for years, Onassis didn't hesitate to dream big. And his dreams were very large indeed. He created his own brand of cigarettes and introducing cigarettes with pink tips, aimed at the female market. Having been exposed to the shipping world through his tobacco importing business, Onassis realized that much more money could be earned if he changed his business model strictly to shipping. Soon after, he founded his first shipping and trading company called Astilleros Onassis. But his quest to acquire his vast fortune had only just begun. How Onassis deal with Saudi Arabia? Let's see how he deal with Saudi Arabia. In the early 1950s, Aristotle Onassis worked out a deal with the king of Saudi Arabia to be granted exclusive rights to the country's oil. After Onassis made a potentially lucrative deal, he purchased a series of tankers for the express purpose of shipping Saudi Arabia's precious oil. Due to the country's massive oil production, Onassis acquired a great number of ships. This investment turned out to be potentially disastrous. However, when the Greek shipping magnate was blocked from transporting Saudi Arabia's oil by the US companies, which have had a prior agreement with Saudi Arabia for exclusive shipping rights over the country's oil, were outraged by Onassis' deal, and the US government even stepped in. Let's see how the deal with the Saudi Arabia turned into disastrous for Aristotle. The renewal of charter for Onassis' ship was refused, and his vessels were not permitted to load any oil when they reached port in Saudi Arabia. Hence, the deal between the Greek ship owner and the country was voided. The blockage of Onassis' ship caused his incipient fortune to quickly drain as his many vessels sat idle in the Red Sea. Onassis even considered selling the massive fleet of tankers after he realized he could not afford to pay back the loan he has initially received to buy the ship. His fortune quickly turned, however, when Egypt cut off all access to the Suez Canal during the Suez Canal crisis in 1956 after Israel invaded the Sinai Peninsula and Gaza Strip. The Suez Canal, one of the most important trade routes in the world, remained closed for 6 months. Do you know that Suez Canal blockage makes Aristotle Onassis the richest man in the world? Ships were forced to circumnavigate the entire continent of Africa. A considerable longer trip, and soon there were not enough tankers to fulfill global shipping demand due to delays. Luckily, Onassis has a massive fleet of ships that have sat unused, the perfect solution to a global need for extra tankers. Onassis turned what could have been his runs into a boon, as demand was so high and his ships were not under contract. The Greek magnate had the power to set any price he desired to lease them out, and he made a fortune. According to record, Onassis could make a $2 million profit on a single trip with a full tanker at the time. When the Suez Canal reopened 6 months later, Onassis had amassed a considerable fortune. In 1957 alone, he made $70 million, equivalent to about $740 million today. Just the year before, he has been drawn in debt. Onassis made a name for himself as the most powerful and clever shipping magnate on the planet, and he later became the richest man in the world. This is just a little about this man. If you enjoyed this, kindly like, comment and share. Thank you very much.